Following the Second World War, thousands of Gibraltarians returned from evacuation in the UK, Madeira, Ballymena, Morocco and Jamaica. Unfortunately, many found themselves unable to reclaim their homes. They'd either been requisitioned, occupied, or suffered war damage. The government had to accommodate these people in temporary housing and provide essential services. The Resettlement Board established several centres, such as the Little Sisters of the Poor, Hotel Cecil, and Berrira's Home, to house displaced people. By August 1947, there were nearly 900 people living in these centres. 75 of them were Spanish refugees, and 350 were deemed destitute. They had nothing, and they were completely living off the government, full board and lodgings. However, there was little investigation into whether these individuals could contribute financially. The report recommended a review process to determine the genuine need for government aid and to shift responsibility to relatives where possible. A major issue was the continued use of requisitioned properties to house returnees. At the time, 234 families were living in government-seized buildings, many of which had fallen into disrepair. There were also growing arrears, with tenants failing to pay rent on time, creating a financial burden for the government. The Resettlement Board recommended an urgent process of de-requisitioning properties, while ensuring that struggling families could afford alternative housing. It was suggested that those unable to pay market rent should be relocated to accommodation matching their financial capabilities. The cost of maintaining resettlement centres was high, with £3,900 a year spent on rent, maintenance and repairs. In 1947, that was a lot of money. The Cecil Hotel alone accounted for 1,353 of these expenses, and the report recommended closing it as soon as alternative housing was secured. The government also spent significant amounts on food, electricity, water, and wages for staff operating the centres. To reduce expenses, the Working Party proposed closing government-run canteens and instead providing financial assistance for individuals to buy their own food, encouraging self-sufficiency by requiring those receiving aid to be evaluated for their financial ability to contribute, reducing government-paid employment in the resettlement system as the number of people in centres declined, introducing stricter electricity regulations to prevent wasteful consumption. The report highlighted a disconnect between social welfare and employment policies. It was noted that able-bodied unemployed individuals were living in government centres while thousands of Spanish workers commuted daily to Gibraltar for jobs. The Working Party recommended mandatory registration of unemployed individuals with the Employment Exchange, with refusal to accept job offers resulting in the withdrawal of free meals and lodging. Additionally, concerns were raised about casual labourers who only worked 3 or 4 days a week, earning as much as full-time workers elsewhere. The report suggested ending the practice of workers paying contributions only on the days they worked, ensuring they contributed fully like other employees. The findings of the Resettlement and Public Assistance Working Party paint a picture of a Gibraltarian transition, moving from wartime displacement to peacetime stability. However, financial constraints, housing shortages, and an evolving labour market presented complex challenges. For many Gibraltarians, the post-war years were marked by uncertainty, but the policies shaped by these discussions would lay the groundwork for the modern welfare and housing systems in Gibraltar today.